I have a few things that I'm praying for the vineyard, that if I had my wish and I could immediately have that answered, I wish for a few things that we would grow in. And one of those is a greater emphasis on spiritual formation for vineyard pastors. And for me, that came out of my own brokenness. A few years ago, actually probably now 8 or 9 years ago, I hit a wall. I was flying constantly. I was working on a PhD. I flew 1.5 million miles while I did my PhD, one of the most ridiculously stupid things I have ever done in my life, and I have many of those that I have done, but this is probably the worst. And in the process, I hit a wall. And the reality is that when you have more going out than you have coming in, at some point, you're going to run out. And that's what happened to me. And at the bottom of my life were all these things that had settled to the bottom that I could ignore until there was nothing left to give except that muddy water at the bottom. And in that point, God really reached into my life and rescued me. And it came through 2 friends who continue to be a part of the mission leadership team, Michael Palandro and Roy Conwell, who, after a not good meeting, when I had been less than patient with some people, came to me and said, "Is everything okay?" And I had hoped I'd been hiding it. I knew there was a problem. I remember what happened at that meeting. It was kind of like watching someone else and thinking, gosh, that person is really being a jerk. The problem is that person was me. And so they came to me and they said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Why do you ask?" And they said, "Basically because you were pretty much a jerk in that meeting." They used another word, but I don't want it on tape. And I realized that as much as I hoped this was hidden, it wasn't hidden from anybody. And once it was exposed, I realized I needed to do something. And so I have, over these last years, gone back to those ancient paths that have served the people of God for centuries and began to give attention to my relationship with Jesus. And so I have rhythms of things that happen daily and weekly and monthly and quarterly and annually, that I work very hard to assure that I have more coming into my life than I have going out. And so I'm at a very different place in my relationship with Jesus. And what I've discovered is that when I spend time with Jesus, he, in a way that I can't explain, rearranges the furniture of my heart and changes things that I can't change simply by desire or effort or discipline alone. And so my wish is that everybody in the vineyard, in their way and what's appropriate to them, experiences the invitation that I'm sure God is giving to give out of overflow and to give out of a real deepening and changing relationship with Jesus. And so spiritual formation and mission matter. And I can't sustain mission, and I can't have integrity in mission, and I can't discern well if I don't have depth in my relationship with Jesus. And so that probably is my top prayer for the vineyard, that we would be a movement that increasingly presses into the presence of God in forms that are meaningful for all of us. And perhaps those include those that have historically been really important, because God's given us a good mission, and we need to have the sustainability in our lives and our movement to follow that out.